The people unite.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to We the
Hi.
People Unite Live. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh,
You may notice we are missing our fearless leader, Kim. She is taking a well-deserved break, so I will be piloting the show tonight. And we are going to jump right into the hard stuff because it was a very busy day. You may have heard that right-wing podcaster Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at an event at a Utah university. So let's look at the headlines. So this is from the BBC. President Trump had something to say about this. He says, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie." Um, Last I heard, they may have a suspect, but that's still being
thank you,
confirmed.
David.
Multiple sources say that the shots were fired from an academic building around 100 to 200 yards away. And if you remember, a football field, I believe, is 100 yards, so double the distance. And it turns out that he may have been talking about mass shootings before the shot was fired. And just some background, he founded the conservative group Turning Point USA. He was close to the president. He leaves behind a wife and I believe multiple children.
I think it was 2 kids, yeah, a boy and a girl.
It's true.
So, what did y'all think when you heard the news?
I was not shocked. I was I wasn't shocked. I thought it was going to be somebody else they were going to take a shot at, but the person doesn't make themselves available. But I wasn't shocked. I was just concerned about, again, here we go. We always for centuries, and for we act like this is the first time, but Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Kennedy were killed because they were certain activists in certain leaning ways. And so when you're out there being an activist and you have a big voice, you're a target. And I just wish that we didn't have to kill each other. That we could disagree or duke it out if we want to, like the old days, but nothing permanent.
Any type of gun violence is just awful. And it shouldn't happen. And think what you want about Charlie Kirk and about, all of the things that he stood for, but it was still a human being. And when I think about it, I do think about like his kids and stuff. And I did see on that summary that they were there. He and his wife and kids were there. So I can't even imagine like for like those young kids, because I think the photo they look like
The
toddlers.
toddlers, they
Yeah.
are.
So, seeing your father shot, like I can't even imagine. And the thing that just scares me is now what the outcome of this is going to look like. Because it's to me, it looks like it's leaning more on the scary side than the sensible.
And they do have someone in custody. However, in the press conference, they said they are still pursuing anybody with information, and the person is currently being questioned now.
So, it's interesting how the right leaning side of politics responded to this event, and I want to share a video with y'all. If it'll let me. All right, here we go.
Is there supposed to be sound?
Do you not hear it?
No, we don't. Everybody stand by.
The little mute
So,
button on the side might be.
no, I could hear it. I think I need to be in the same browser. I'll figure it out later. Essentially, what was happening is Congress, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson led a moment of prayer in honor of Charlie Kirk, which I thought was very interesting. And I wondered, did this same thing happen when those legislators in Minnesota were shot on No King's Day?
That's what I was wondering.
No, not at all.
I don't know why we're wondering about it. No, it didn't. So
I mean, I'm wondering because I don't know.
Or did
No, it
it
wasn't.
happen? Did it happen when there were school shootings?
And so why him? No disrespect to his passing, but why him and not many other people? What makes him worthy of being exalted this way on the floor of Congress?
I think we know why.
Because that was their boy.
Well, that's what's been going all along, and that's what's inciting this violence, is continuing not to recognize all of the things that have happened, occurred recently.
Yeah,
No excuse for it, but that's why it's happening.
yeah, he was the political voice of the MAGA movement for Trump, and he had a hold on the younger generation. So,
And he's going to college to college. He was posting where he was going to be like he's supposed to be. It's a big target, and I just feel like he should have been protected better if that's the case. Because if you come out there like that, it's so dangerous. But you don't never know who's going to do what, when. So there's always a risk. But we've got to quit doing this inequivocation with people of genders and races and this and that. We've got to start treating people as humans, no matter what. And especially in cases like this, we can't say we have sympathy for this one and not for that one. It's just it causes division, and that's the recipe.
I think too is people need to realize that there are like different levels of sympathy when it comes to something like this, where it's not just like, with I can imagine a lot of us with like the Minnesota lawmakers were just so furious and angry. And that's a part of sympathy too. But you can also, in this kind of case, have concern for the family and still have concern that, a human has died. But that doesn't change the fact of who that person was.
Well, I'm going to jump in because for that Minnesota, those two lawmakers, hey, they were not even acknowledged. There was no acknowledgement for them. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They were doing their business, and someone came to their door pretending to be a police officer and shot them. So if we're going to do it, let's do it across the board. That's all I'm asking. Okay? Let's do it across the board. I'm going to leave with words matter.
And to Anitra's point about division, what do we think, what kind of message do we think it sends when there is this kind of unequal treatment when people pass?
That their lives matter more. That his base, the Republicans, the MAGA, the white supremacists, their lives matter more. Right? To me.
Unfortunately, we don't have any leaders that are going to step up and do or say the right thing. We've had many people, Kamala Harris was one of the first ones to put out a message. And then you see on Fox News, Jesse Waters is spouting out every single incidence of some sort of violence, political violence that was perpetrated by the left, not mentioning anything that ever happens on the right. And then he declares that the left is going to war with them. So to August's point about words mattering, that it matters what you say in a time like this. Violence like this is never acceptable. There is not a thing that ever came out of Charlie Kirk's mouth that I ever agreed with. But he's a human being, and I feel for his family. He's gone, and it's just unnecessary. But it doesn't have to spark a flame. That's something that we can't come back from as a country. When you have talking heads talking about one section of the country declaring war, that's throwing gas on the fire. It's not trying to calm things.
Well, when your president says I could kill someone on Fifth Avenue and nothing will happen, and he just letting you know from the beginning he can do anything he want, and now we have a Supreme Court that stands behind this evil president, but the left can't do anything, and then they're taking these brown and black people, and especially brown right now, and just jumping on them and taking them to alligator Alcatraz or sending them to another country. They do what they want to do. And I have not gotten over January 6th, where people died and people had heart attacks. And I mean, you see the man's face just being pushed into the window. I don't understand what they see.
So there's also this. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. Charlie Kirk, 2023.
Wow.
So I
Like
watched
Mike says, words matter.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
There was a debate between somebody I grew up with and somebody else and their family member on Facebook right before I got on here, and they were talking about that very thing. And she put that quote out there, and he was saying how disappointed he was in his niece for not condemning the shooter or whatever, and it was a back and forth. But the interesting thing, the other guy was like, there was another comment that was like, and where do you have proof that he even said this about the Second Amendment? And she was like, it's everywhere. Uncle, it's out there. But this is what I said, and I'm gonna stand by it. When you live by the gun, then you die by the gun. That's what they say.
That's
Mhm.
my
And
father
I'm
said.
not saying you should, but if you want them out here, then you got to be willing to have them out here, even at your peril. And so, if he stands by that, then I hate that this happened, but it could be any one of us tomorrow because of these same laws if they don't change. So, is this the America he wants his children to live in, his wife to live in?
Again, words matter. That's going to be the title for today. Words matter. Sorry, Keisha.
Isn't that also like a Bible, something in the Bible where it's he who lives by the sword dies by the sword?
Yep.
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, Donald, I call him Donald now because his Mary Trump says that he hates it, but he's responsible for all of this as far as I'm concerned.
Me too.
His policies are cruel. His policies are violent. The words that come out of his mouth are violent. He protects people who are violent. He surrounds himself with pedophiles. And people think they can just get away with being violent.
Thank you for saying
Well
that,
said.
Mommy. Let's put the
Well
blame
said.
where the blame should lay. Words matter.
I just, and they and the in the press conference, you should have seen the anger in the police. The guy who was talking first, I don't know his name. I'm sorry. He was not the police chief though, but I was just like, he was so angry, and it seemed almost like, I don't know how to explain it. It was odd anger to me. I don't think he was angry about the situation so much as just he was like, we shouldn't be killing each other. But it was like,
is that in Utah?
yes. And he was like basically talking about the Second Amendment and the death penalty and going to all these little subjects. But the way he was looking, he said the Second Amendment, and he like pauses for a long time for a pause, like maybe 5-6 seconds. And TV, that's a long time. And I was like, and he was like, well, anyway, there's got to be this, and that. And I'm like, I'm afraid this is going to lead to more.
Honestly, he probably sounded like surprised and angry because it was a white person that got shot.
That's what it is. In Utah.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said, was it in Utah? So that was also probably part of it.
Just
Because
like
in the next state over, in Colorado, there was another shooting today. This time at a school.
I think it was a high school.
High school students were shot. So I'm going to play a video that hopefully we will be
shooting in Colorado.
Hear.
Mm-mm.
Hold
Can't
on.
hear it.
Unmute. Hold on.
Hang on, she's coming.
You hear it?
Mm-mm.
We can do the house. Before you get up for that final snack, I want you to know we'll be right back. I love Al.
Please, if you get a chance, like, subscribe, and please share your comments in the chat. Time now is 7:45 on the East Coast.
I'm not sure what's going on with the video. I have other videos that I have saved that are recorded, so they'll be fine. But let's just talk about what happened in Denver. Last I read, I believe there were 3 students who were shot. I don't think we have any more details in terms of who the suspect is and what their motive was, but this is just on the tail of those kids being subjected to gun violence at that Catholic school just 2 weeks ago. And I'm sure in this time there's been more gun shootings at school. How do we feel about this?
I know Denver has a lot of school shootings. There's a lot of. I mean, they had a grocery store, the Aurora, in the movie theater, of course, Columbine, and another one in Aurora. Now they needed to look into that because they do a lot of innovative things out there. So I'm sure there's something they're working on. But once again, here we are. We got kids taking guns into schools. We got people getting guns that shouldn't have them. Even if we have them, we've got to tighten up the rules. That is my solution. You got to tighten up the rules, and people are going to have to wait in between the time that they apply for their gun and the time they carry it. And that's it.
If we're gonna look at the kids and the violence they're committing, they're just watching the parents. They're just watching the rest of the world, you know. Oh, we can just pick up guns. We can shoot anybody. I don't have to learn nothing in school. These kids are not learning nothing. They just want to play games and shoot and smoke weed.
I think it was the Jack Coccarello, sorry, did a video, and he was talking about how there are, what is it, like over 400 million guns in this country, but there are also responsible gun owners. And there are a lot more responsible gun owners than we think. And I'm not, again, if you've watched this before, I'm very anti-gun. But a lot of the times, too, it's so much easier to get guns the wrong way.
So why do we need a semi-automatic gun to shoot a deer?
Well, you don't use that to shoot a deer, I don't think.
But that's what I'm saying. They say they need it for hunting. That's the excuse. They need it for hunting. But I want to know what they hunting.
I think it was, oh God, now I can't think of his name. He's from Florida. He's a congressman. And he was literally saying the same thing. He's like, what do you need an AR-15 to shoot a deer for? You know why you don't shoot a deer with an AR-15? Because it just wrecks it. Right. And they're taking that into kids.
So why do we need this? Even the police don't even have guns like that sometimes in some cities, but yet people on the street have them. And like the one shooting in Las Vegas, where he just shot down from the hotel and shot almost 500 people.
Yeah, I remember that. I lived in Vegas when that happened, and I got
that was Mandalay Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I'm from Indiana, home, born and raised, corn and kids. Okay. And I, believe it or not, I listen to country music sometimes, and I'm a square dancer. So I get it. I live around the people who do most of this. And they are very good with guns and different things like that. The problem is that in order to control it from the bad people, the good people too have to suffer a little bit. And that's the problem. Because you don't know, and then I'm good today, but then something happens and I tweak out tonight. You don't know, so it's the availability.
Well, the one guy brought up the fact that he says that we have guns because we're waiting on the bad people and we got to use them when the bad people come. But who we see as the bad people is our next door neighbor.
And there's the rub.
Well, there was that the kid who was shot and killed. He was playing Ding Dong Ditch, and his neighbor shot him.
Yeah. In the back.
Ridiculous. Like, why is that necessary? It was a prank. So do we think anything is going to change of all of the things that have happened between Charlie Kirk getting shot while he was talking about mass shootings and the same day a school shooting happening? Is anything going to change?
It's going to get worse.
Not with this.
I mean, it doesn't change with kids. Why would it change because of Charlie Kirk?
That's right.
It's too much money.
Are you going to send a National Guard into Utah? I don't think so.
No.
Where could we go from here?
Until they realize that we don't need guns, really, we don't need them, and other countries don't have them, and that, again, if I have a disagreement with someone, that we can just talk about it, and it's always the men that start these wars. It's never a woman that has started a war.
Just walk away. You don't even have to.
Don't have to
talk about it. Just walk away.
People are so not able to do that here in America because we got a lot of bravado. And you don't disrespect me. You're not gonna come in my space and this and that. And it's a flawed way of thinking. But either way, it's what it is. We're not gonna change that.
In this country too, so many people have just so much hate in their heart that's just been passed down too, and they've been literally taught to hate. And so it all kind of like equates together with like guns and violence and racism and homophobia and just all of these things compiled together.
Well, we have to, as Black parents and grandparents, we have to tell our Black children and grandchildren, when they stop you, put your hands up here and don't make any quick motions and don't reach over there. Because when I saw that one man, he shot him. Oh my goodness, he shot him right in the head. I was like, oh my goodness, he was just reaching for his ID.
So this
doesn't matter anymore on Andrea. Because how many of them been shot like that?
I know. That's what I'm saying. So, our crime is being Black in America.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is that something like this, Charlie Kirk being shot, just like they tried or hinted at legislation to ban transgender people from owning guns, I feel like this will just be an excuse for them to ban certain types of people from having guns. And then what we'll have is a well-armed white nationalist militia running around on the streets, and everybody else is going to have a problem trying to get guns.
I feel like they're already starting that militia a bit with the way that they're hiring for ICE, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
They're the ones in there.
I'm seeing a lot of people. I've seen it on Fox, and I've seen a couple of little podcasters, not little podcasters put it up, but it's only been a little bit since all this happened today, where they're talking about, well, what are we going to do? And I hate to say it with these people, everybody's shooting and all that, and then they're turning around to the girl who got attacked on that bus in North Carolina and trying to frame it the other way because we don't know who the person is yet. But they're trying to fuel more hate that has nothing to do with this one. And they're trying to intertwine it together, and I see some people aren't able to separate the two, and so I think that's going to add fuel to the fire, the racial discord along with the Second Amendment discord.
Well, yeah, because if you notice when like the guy that stabbed that woman, and just on the was it a bus or
bus.
He stabbed her. Well, they know who he is, and and of course he's had a history of violence and a history of mental illness, but they showed that repeatedly on a loop. But when it comes from the other side, there's a mention of it, but then it's over. But when it's perpetrated by someone that they conceived to be on the left or of color, or, you know, if it's an immigrant or something like that, you see it on a loop. So we're being like
It's
almost,
propagandized.
yeah,
I
That's
just
right.
want to I just want to call out Eugene. None of us are immune from giving into those impulses if we feel justified. I hear you, Eugene. I hear you loud and clear. But those impulses, that's what we have to fight against, because it's so easy to get upset and ready to bust off. It's when you're able to check that feeling, that's where power is initiated. And you got to have that power. You got to taste power and know when to relinquish. That's why Trump cannot understand what power, true power means,
Mhm.
because he tasted and engaged. You got to be able to taste it and step back. That's true power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
He wouldn't know power if it stepped on him. Only power he got is in the cord. That was funny to me.
Is there a new person here, Corey?
Yeah, I'd never seen Corey before.
Hi, Corey.
Yeah.
Hi, Corey.
What Corey say?
Corey said a lot.
Lot.
Yeah.
Screen earlier. You can go
It
back.
was extreme.
No,
Welcome,
not at all.
Corey.
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
I was welcoming an
Corey.
extreme. Hi, Corey.
Amendment not.
So
I
let's
just
talk
think
about go ahead, Andrea.
I just think until we realize that, you know, we need gun laws, everybody doesn't need a gun, and we all bleed red. I don't care what nationality you are, we all bleed red. Why do we have that in common, I wonder? I think it was a test on mankind to see, no matter the color of your skin or the texture of your hair, can we still get along? Can I still say I love May Money, I love Anitra, I love Katie? You know, can I love you and we still be different? It doesn't matter.
Well said. On the topic of our children and their future, if they have one, if they manage to make it through school without getting harmed, the national report card scores recently came out and they don't look great. So
Shocker.
let's take a look. U.S. high school students' reading math scores hit a new low. American eighth graders have recorded their lowest science scores since 2009. 38% of students scored below the NAEP basic, marking a 5 percentage point increase since 2019. The Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, stated that results confirm a devastating trend, and she's using this basically to affirm why they want to destroy the Department of Education. And the results show that gaps between high and low performing students have widened. Not mentioned here is also that the reading scores are lower than they've been since 1992.
Jesus.
Yes. There's also a widening gap between girls are falling behind in STEM subjects again. So science,
Mhm.
technology, English, and math. Wait, engineering and math.
That's right.
and
Yeah.
Engineering and math, yes.
It's not just, some of it is related to the pandemic, but it's not just about the pandemic. These scores were not great before then. So what do you think of this?
I just think it's, you see that these scores are so much lower. And, and yet it makes sense, because look at what our leadership is. It's all people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And so now it is literally just trickling down and affecting everything. What did these people expect when you have people that don't know what they're doing? What do you expect when you cut free breakfast and free lunch and kids can't focus at school? what do you expect when you cut certain mental health programs from schools, and like the guidance counselors can't be guidance counselors because teachers are so underpaid and schools are so understaffed that people have to do 3 or 4 different jobs instead of just one job. And you know,
And then they're at home in environments where these things are going on as well. And kids pick up on everything. They get the vibes. They have a lot of this. They see what's going on out there. And then they have the burden of wondering if somebody's going to come in there and shoot the place up.
and I'm like, so for me,
And it's
for those who don't know, I'm married to a teacher. And so, I saw what he had to deal with through COVID. And like during COVID, a lot of his kids couldn't even be in class because, like, yes, it was virtual, but like their parents weren't home and they had to take care of their siblings, or they had to do certain like house chores and stuff. And the thing that just makes me so mad about all this stuff with government in general, and not just this administration, but this goes back a while, is they just love to look at this big picture and try to poke holes to see what's wrong. And it's so many little things that lead to the bigger problem. And they don't realize it. And they don't care
They
either.
don't care. Yeah. They realize it. They know all. They're not stupid. You got Ivy League education. I went to community college and then I went to a wonderful university.
Listen, the way that these
Anyway.
people love to throw out that they're Ivy League, it makes me think that they didn't get there for their brains.
Right.
Well,
But what are we
let's
going to do? Go ahead.
let's talk about solutions. One solution is turn the TV off. It's time to get to the books.
Mhm.
Okay, it's time to read more. I'm very impressed that Momo can go through a book and really, like sit down and focus on a book. We got to let these kids turn the TV off, but also they need to go outside. I'd rather them go outside and
Yes.
read a book or walk around the block because they need that exercise. If you don't get that type of exercise, you are not able to focus. So it walks hand in hand. You got to exercise, you got to read, but nourishment. You also have to make sure the child is getting the right nourishment. So I'm just only putting it out there. Parents,
I think solutions are very important because I'm concerned about this. One of the areas where students also scored very low was civics. And civics is related to our government, and people who are 18 years of age are able to vote in this country. And between the low civic scores and the low reading scores, and the reading scores are basically like, can you read a paragraph and use context clues to figure information out? And a lot of people can't do that. So what are we going to do about this growing, aging voting populace that their reading comprehension is poor and they don't understand how the government works?
I believe a lot of it is going to have to start at home. Don't let your kids have access to social media. And I understand that a lot of people, you hear a lot of parents saying, oh, well, that's so hard and this, that, and the other. I raised 3 children when social media first came about, and I had total control over everything that they did. I was fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom. So my kids were well nourished. They did have limited TV time. They had a bedtime, and I was there with them when they were doing their homework. And regardless of what was going on in the school, how crowded the class was or anything like that, as a parent, you do have a sense of control. Now, I was very fortunate because I was able to stay at home with my kids. And I know a lot of parents can't do that, but there is still a way for you to have control over your children's devices. I could turn my kids' phones off when I wasn't at home. I had control over the electronics. There are ways that you can do this and encourage your children to read and to study. Have a book in your hand. That will encourage your child to want to pick up a book and read as well. So I think, the parents have to really start getting involved again in their children's lives and in their education.
And I think
please comment. Please share your
I think
comments. I want to hear from everyone in the chat. Please Tell us your comments. What do you think? And how do you see us moving forward? Sorry.
Mo, I think that's a really good point you make about parents reading. Um, Kids aren't going to be reading if they don't see examples in their lives of other people reading. And I've read comments from parents and seen studies where parents want their kids to read, but they don't want to pick up a book themselves. They don't even want to read to their kids.
Oh,
Some of them can't read to them, and that's my problem. I'll just keep it at 100. I see people, and I'm finding out. Like I said, I do healthcare, and I'm with a lot of people from all different demographics, and I'll ask them questions about even their, and I'll be like, so, and I have to ask oftentimes, no judgment. Can you read? Are you able to write? And someone was like, yeah, I can write my name. If you want me to write you a book report, I can't do it. And then you find out they have 5 or 6 kids, and you're like, if the kids are at home and they need help, who they gonna ask? And if the parent doesn't see the value in the education, then a lot of times the parents, other than being busy, they just not engaged, or they have one special needs child that takes a lot of their energy, and the job. And there's a lot of families with the autism rate going up that are dealing with a lot of different things with that on top of anything else. So I think it's a young generation raising kids that they really not prepared to have and to raise properly. And I'm not saying all of them, but most of them are single parent households with kids from several different fathers.
One of my friends, she taught for like 30 years in inner city school district. She was a special ed teacher. And she said, like, what you were saying, Anitra, that was like the kids don't get that kind of help at home. And like one of the things that, she deals with is some moms would just have like literally 6 or 7 kids for the child support. And so like they would just expect the teacher to be the parents when they're at school. And it would be like almost a reset button every day when these kids would come in.
Exactly. Yeah. It's sad. And I'm not trying to condemn the kids, but it's just really sad that the parents, and then, now they're going back to cursive and stuff, but you have people that cannot read it. And I write cursive, and I just came from a job where we had to write our orders. I mean, orders, everything. And I went to a guy I worked with as a young guy, and I said, "Can you read this?" I said, "No judgment," because he thought, we were cool. He was like, "Not a word of it. I don't read cursive." I said, "Well, what would you do if you couldn't do this job?" And he was working there.
My local library system has a literacy training program for adults. I would like to join in the future. It requires a 1-year commitment, so I just have to have the time. But they really focus on helping adults learn the reading skills that they need just to read things like read your lease so you can understand what the terms of your lease are so you don't get fleeced by your landlord. And I think we need more programs like that. I encourage people, if you're interested, volunteer for a literacy program, because there are, to Anitra's point, adults out there who they know basic reading, but they don't have reading comprehension skills, and that's really important. It's hard to get through life. There are people who can't even read the subway signs in New York City. I had no idea. Like, imagine.
And that's why it's so sad that they're cutting so much financing for so many different programs, because you do have parents that they may want to help their children, but they can't. And then the after school program has been defunded or shut down. So you don't have that alternative either. So, it's a multifaceted problem. It has to do with the home. It has to do with social contracts, and it comes from the government on high all the way down to the household. So, it all has an effect.
Well, I know a lot of nonprofits. I used to work with nonprofits, and they had wonderful programs like that with reading to the children and helping them out with their schoolwork. But now those things, I'm starting to hear really bad stories about how those programs are being cut because they're not getting the funding.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so important. I think reading is one of the most important things in your life, starting from a small child onward.
Yes.
So I'm hearing these stories that you're all telling today, and that's awful. Yeah, it seems like Keisha, that sounds like a great program. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to do something like that. So your your program is in a local library? Is that what
Yeah,
you're?
it's through the Brooklyn Public Library System.
We
Yeah.
had one here years ago called the Gateway Program, but I don't know if it's still up and running or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely check out your library's programs. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my grandfather could barely read, and he went to one of those programs, his local library, and it opened up his world. He just wanted to read the Bible, and so that's what inspired him. And yeah, and he was very proud of it. I remember him coming home and opening up the Bible and reading to us, and he was so proud. It's a great program.
Aw.
Yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
lot
I
of
had an 84-year-old man graduate with me.
yeah,
That's
He
wonderful.
taught himself to read.
yeah.
a lot of
So I
library
just want
stuff too now has online stuff. If you have like a library card that you can connect to other programs and other libraries too.
But
to,
then you
again,
got
just want to
Wi-Fi
say,
issues, and you got all these people in these. The people are suffering the most are the poor and marginalized
Mhm.
because they can't. And then they have all these vouchers and stuff, and these programs, and these schools are not doing the curriculum right. It's just not going well. You got whole classes of people here in my town that maybe like there's 30 kids and maybe 27 of them going to repeat the grade. That's a problem. That's the systemic problem. But and then these kids keep going back and back to school, and now they're going back 2 and 3 times. By the time they graduate, they're going to be 25 years old, and so we've got to start caring about those kids and make sure that funding is in place. But right now, they say Trump likes them dumb. I hear you like I'm dumb. Well, Donald wants us dumb. And if you have dumb, then you have people just like when they wouldn't let black people read and learn how to read. That knowledge is power.
Yeah, it is.
so I just want to
So
call out Jazzy real quick. Jazzy's point in regards to Chat GPT, that the kids are now just putting everything into Chat GPT. Good point, Jazzy. It's it's a two-edged sword when it comes down to Chat GPT. Honestly speaking.
And Grok.
And also, Doplo, I just want to call you out that you said you had no clue it was that bad. And that's why we have this platform to educate everybody on items that are not being told, whether in media or even that you can't pull it anywhere else.
Well, speaking of the poor and marginalized, and thank you for that, August. In Nepal, there is an uprising going on, and it's led by Gen Z, a group who feel like they are being denied opportunities and being sacrificed so that the wealthy can just live off the fat of the land. So we'll watch a video, and it'll give us some background.
Huge protests are rocking Nepal at the moment, and they broke out yesterday and have been continuing into today. It's been widespread disorder, initially triggered by a ban on social media platforms, but really there are much deeper issues driving these protests around a lack of opportunities for young people and anger at the political corruption that they see. The protests have turned deadly. At least 19 people have died, around 100 have been injured. And the wife of a former Prime Minister of Nepal died as a result of her injuries after her home was set on fire by demonstrators. The parliament's on fire, other government buildings and the homes of political leaders have been torched. And another former Prime Minister and his wife were attacked, leaving them bloody. But tens of thousands of people are still out on the streets defying curfews, so this story is still going to play out yet.
And I have some pictures.
Wow.
So this is a
It's a
demonstration.
different world. We live in interesting times, as the Chinese say. But may you live in interesting times. Well, they don't get more interesting than this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dang.
And I want to mention this before I forget. on the eve of 9/11. Let's not forget those people and all the things that have happened, and I'm thinking about all that and all the things we've done to try how we came together on that day. And we were a united nation. I felt like united in a fight. And then look at us now. We're all.
So, what do y'all think of this? Can we learn any lessons from Nepal? It is definitely a much smaller country than the US. It is a small country in South Asia. But the people are angry. One of the things that they mentioned in the video was they started burning things down once the government banned like 26 different social media platforms. And if you hear the story in some news outlets, they make it seem so basic, but it really was about free speech. People felt like their free speech was being limited. Imagine if in this country they banned all of the social media that we use. They banned Threads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
They're gonna have more than fire. They coming out the house. It's like it's like that. They had one video where this guy, his mom turned off the internet because he's in the basement, and he comes like through the door at her. He tears it up like, and I'm like, people will be in the street in 2.2 seconds, which is sad. It's good, I get it, but it's also sad.
I wonder if people would be in the streets. I think some people would be, but I don't know if we would see the kind of unification that and righteous anger that Nepalese are showing.
Honestly, I don't think it would be as much like unification and anger as it would be more panic.
Anarchy.
Yeah.
We have many reasons to be angry and to be upset and to rise up and be out on the streets right now in our country. You said it was Gen Z, so it was very young people. Mm-hmm. I think the difference between Nepal and our country is there are a lot of young people who are disengaged. They're not even really aware of what's going on, because at the protests and stuff, you see Gen X, like me, on up to boomers. You see older people out there protesting. And when you talk to a young person, most of the time they are pretty clueless. They're aware of some of the things that are going on, but I just don't think that they understand the depth of it and how serious it is.
But they did with Palestine, so I'm not quite sure why they're not engaged here. They were very engaged then.
Yeah, I don't know. They were very engaged.
Government or I don't know.
I don't know. And it's going to get worse because I think it was my husband told me something about Don was on some show and people were telling them how the news now, even trickling on down to the local news, they are being censored. There are certain things they can't talk about, and they can't.
He talked about it this morning. He was at the premiere for the show, the morning show, which if you've never watched it, it's a news show. And he said that like there were a bunch of news anchors there from different platforms, and they were all saying like, you're lucky you got out when you did. And if people don't think that alarm bells should be going off, then you need to wake up, y'all.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like they're not getting the truth anywhere. You just can't.
They have CBS or ABC. I'm pretty sure it's CBS. When my aunt and them was watching it the other day, and it said they have a new ombudsman to help them navigate to make sure, like they said his name. You have to look it up, but so I guess to help them make sure that they're putting out accurate information and good information on the news, because they know they're not trusted. But they called him, I said, not an ombudsman, but that's what it said the other day. And I thought, how interesting.
They're not putting out accurate information. They're just not allowed to say everything. They're not truth tellers. They say what Trump would have them to say. Parents have been taken out of the house where it used to be a man would go out and work and he could, support the whole family. That's unheard of now. So you got the man and the woman trying to work. they used to have programs for the kids to go participate in. I mean, you could go swimming, you can go to science, be in the science class, you know, the science club or the math club. You could be a basketball, baseball, or ballet, or dance classes. They don't offer any of this hardly anymore to kids. I mean, and these are free programs. Everything today costs money. It used to be a time where you didn't rely on a computer for all of your information. You actually did see your parents reading, even when I was young, and that's a long time ago. You know, because I was there when they had black and white TV. And so then we was the first ones to get a color TV. But then my mother made sure we had encyclopedias. When we came home from school, we had to still study 2 more hours after we got home. You didn't go outside on the weekend unless your chores were done. And you got paid. They would give you 5 cents or 30 cents, and you think you had some money when you did your that was your allowance. So and parents don't sometimes have the time to even, I say they don't have the time to even make their kids feel special. So we even felt special. It's just a lot that's missing from our society, other than our president telling you, I love my people dumb. I like them stupid.
Akeisha, I don't think that would happen in America. I just don't see it.
No, they would shoot you first.
Yeah.
It would have to be down for more than like a week, because you got a lot of people, and it have to be like interrupt infrastructure a little bit. I think
no electricity, maybe.
Right.
Yeah,
like
no water.
Yeah.
It's the basic
too
need.
long.
Yeah,
We're going the wrong way in history.
Well,
We are.
I want to move us into a round of quick headlines. So, one thing that's interesting is some Americans are becoming really interested in socialism. So, this latest Gallup poll came out and shows that Democrats favor socialism over capitalism for the first time. In this Gallup poll, more than 2/3 of Democrats have a positive view of socialism, compared to only 14% of Republicans, surprise, surprise, and 38% of independents. Support for capitalism has reached its lowest point in 15 years, with only 54% of Americans expressing a positive view. Only 42% of Democrats and 51% of independents have a positive view of socialism.
Capitalism.
Of capitalism, thank you.
I've always been for socialism, so
yeah, it's not surprising, because the gap between the haves and the have-nots are just becoming so great, and they're cutting programs so people don't have access. So when you start hearing about these socialistic sort of programs where if everybody just pays a little bit more tax, then everybody gets health care, or everybody gets an education, or everybody gets this or that, it becomes more appealing when you when you no longer have access to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because socialism is about people first, not money or big business.
We used to say it took a village to raise a child, and it does, but our villages are decimated.
Yes.
And that's another problem. And you got people don't stay at home, so they're on the East Coast, and mom and dad are back in Kentucky, or Nashville or Oklahoma, and they're far away, and grandma's still out, she's still working. You know what I'm saying? She got 3 companies and a racquetball game. So that's another thing. Grandparents are living longer, but they're living their life. They're on vacation. They're jet skiing. In California, I seen on the news yesterday, they smoking weed. They're hanging out.
Well, something else too is like people don't know their neighbors anymore, really, either. Like for us, we just had somebody move in across the street, and I saw them outside just doing like some house renovating, and I just wanted to be polite and say hi. And they were like, "We've been here a week and we haven't had anybody come over and say anything to us." And like they were just so surprised. And they have a kid the same age as my daughter, so you want to go over and say that. But like our other neighbors to the right of us, like we've never spoken to them and we've lived here almost 3 years. So I think people just like to keep to themselves a lot more nowadays too.
Because everybody is perceived as the enemy. And that's why you can
threat.
get the gun, because the gun you need to keep your enemies away.
Well, my enemy are the billionaires, and I'm all about the class war. So this news warms my heart because I want us to be more people forward and less focused on money. And so if this gets us closer to fighting the billionaires and taking back the resources that they are hoarding, I love to see it.
Now,
And
I'm with
it's
all of it.
possible. There are many countries that are thriving under socialism. So it's possible. It's absolutely possible.
And there's some of like the top countries in the world.
Like August said, where you could walk around, because we used to could walk from one side of town to the other side of town. And I mean, you need a ride, or if you're sitting at the bus stop, you need to go somewhere and somebody would help you and you didn't have to worry and fear.
Yeah, just with the money that the president has made since he's been in office, you could give at least $1 million to every person in the United States.
I've said that. I agree.
I think there was something too where
I'm
like
with Jazzy.
with
I'm
like
in community.
if every billionaire took like not even 10% of their income, we could have like the homelessness, the child hunger solved. And like
but then we wouldn't have people to work for them. They don't want you to be rich.
Got money for wars, but
don't.
can't feed the poor.
Well,
Tupac.
speaking of money and war, have y'all heard that the president wants to change the Defense Department to the Department of War?
Yes, I heard it too many
Do you
times.
know how much that's going
Words
to
matter,
cost?
like August said.
No, how much?
It could cost taxpayers, according to Politico, $1 billion.
Yeah.
Because of things like needing to change the name on buildings, on stationery, on official government documents. So speaking of waste, fraud, and abuse, this seems like a big old waste.
Yes.
And Trump says it's not going to cost a lot of money.
Let's get to the good news.
Here.
You've had enough, huh, Andrea?
One good thing is that I see people starting to wake up. I see them some of them are staying woke, and other ones are starting to wake up and be like, "Hey, something's up." I see a bud.
And that's why I wanted to show that, because I think it ties into our topic about socialism versus capitalism. Like, this is a freaking waste of money. We could be using this to pay for the SNAP benefits that were just cut, but instead we're using it to change the name of this department. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
And they also in my state just took like the daycare benefits for kids that are receiving a voucher. They said kids will get reduction from 10 to 35% depending on the kid, which means that these daycares that provide that already aren't making it. They're going to have to take more private pay and less of the vouchers. Hurting kids.
Starting January 1st, like 15 million people are supposed to lose their medical care. So, I mean, we could go on and on with the sadness in this country, and we do need a plan. We need something to turn this around instead of focusing on it. We got to do something different. I know some of the churches and some of the people in their community, they're starting their own food banks for people to come and get food. And just like I saw yesterday, the lady went and picked up some food and they gave her a dented can or something. And she said, well, you don't have no, what happened to greens? She said, I can go get something out my yard. And she did. She went and got some out of her yard, just some field greens and stuff, and cooked them. But we don't even offer people of anything of quality to eat. And then we say, why are you so fat?
Well, I have some more good news, what I think is good news to share.
Yay. Is the Hitler of our time. Free DC, free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time. Free DC, free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time. What do you want your legacy to be? Let's go. He's terrorizing communities. Time to go.
Love it.
Yes.
Right.
It was all good.
Need to go. Somebody need to do the remix, baby.
And then why didn't they say we were here first? You leave.
Yeah.
Those
And here's
women
a-
were fantastic, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
They
were.
wonderful.
They make that into an album.
Did it positive? Yeah, they were amazing.
Let me show you another perspective of it.
That little
wasn't
like head
expecting
cock
that.
he did reminded me of like when you yell at a dog, like
I was just gonna say, like, when I'm talking to my dog, he goes.
She had a banner. She's like, look at this. I said what I said.
That was
They came
bold.
ready. I love that energy.
Long show this morning. Yeah.
It took some moxie.
We can change things if we were willing to go out in millions and not just sit around and talk about it. We could go out in millions and get rid of this clown.
Yeah.
We coming to it. We getting there. We getting there.
Mhm.
It's been
So
6
I've
months. Y'all
got-
want a lot from me. 6 months.
You should have been there.
I know it feel like 6 years, but only been 6
I
months.
can't take it no more. I'm gonna take this head off.
I'm like Noah building the ark. We almost done. I got 4 planks. Go cut some more trees.
So
and
I
get some more
never thought
tomorrow.
I would show anything about Marjorie Taylor Greene that puts a smile on my face, but wow, check it out.
I know what
I
you're gonna
think-
show.
I was gonna say yes.
Hey, yes.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
proud of her.
Yeah, so if you don't know what this is from the Epstein letter
Mhm.
that Trump supposedly wrote for his birthday book.
I love
wonder-
the
I
at
wonder
the-
what
And that's his
happened that
signature
made-
too.
I wonder what
Replaced
happened
it.
that made her tired of him. I wonder what happened.
It's
I can
the
tell you
Epstein
two
thing.
things.
Okay, I'm
First,
listening.
first of all, she's QAnon to her soul.
Yeah.
And those people want all those files and everything released.
Yeah.
In her mind, Donald Trump now looks like the deep state.
Wait, Jeff
Right.
has AI?
What was AI?
That last one.
What?
That wasn't real.
No, it's not. It's actually from a something she did way earlier when there was like a pride thing on somebody else's office. She
Hey.
posted
Man.
over. She posted
Oh.
over it with some anti-trans, anti-pride stuff.
And they put that in there.
Oh, I was having
Being bold.
I
This is
will
gonna
say
happen
though,
to
I
us.
think
You can see the hands that
Mhm.
that it's AI, but honestly, it's not like too far off from the truth, I guess you could say.
That's-
when it
yeah.
comes to like what she's actually about. I
when
wouldn't
she
say far off from the truth, but it didn't. That's actually a video AI from something else that she did covering up a trans flag or some bullshit that she likes to get into. So the clock
Okay.
was half right, half wrong this time.
I think the thing
I
though
would
that
have
woke
loved for that to be real.
Me too.
Me too.
I think the thing though that woke her up was meeting all those victims, because like when you saw her standing out there and stuff, and I think they had a bunch of them had some type of meeting before that press conference, the one where like Nancy Mace walked out with a panic attack or something, and I think that was like the final straw, because she actually did look and sound pretty sincere, which for her is like a stretch. But
then she didn't want to hear Don Lemon say I was a victim too, and she said, "Get away from me."
well, he attacked her, Andrea.
He didn't attack her.
I know.
But that'll how quickly somebody just take that comment like you say AI, and
She didn't like Don. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's what it was, and it wasn't him.
She still has to be herself sometimes.
I was gonna say she is still Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
Can't forget that. Yeah.
So one more video to close us out. This is in DC with the National Guard.
Star Wars.
I was gonna say you might not want to play that too long because copyright. But yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, because especially John Williams. John Williams has some strict copyright rules.
Okay,
But-
I'm pretty sure that was less than 15 seconds. So
It's 30, I think. But I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, that's hilarious.
yeah, so if you're not familiar, that is the Imperial March from Star Wars. It is for the bad guys.
Star Wars.
Oh no.
I see
And-
you.
I still had to laugh so hard when he posted that photo of him being with a lightsaber, and it was a red lightsaber. Like, bro, you're
Lord.
just flat out saying you're a Sith. Like, come on.
Well,
So
we're gonna break out our lightsabers for democracy
yes.
and for and we got to figure out something, y'all. We got to come together. We got to unite. We got to figure it out because this division is not leading to nothing but death and mayhem.
Yeah.
And that's how he's
That's all.
staying in control. As long as he keep us separate, it's the fight's going to continue, and we keep killing people that don't deserve to die over, especially over him. He's not worth it.
No.
We need to say hi to Lisa G. She's come up a few times.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
I'm sorry we missed you.
Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And also Eugene has been here a few times, but I don't think we shouted out Eugene.
Hi, Eugene.
Hey, Jean.
Our good friend Dally Oops.
Dally-oop. Dally-oop.
She's the one who wrote us that lovely email.
It was nice.
Yes.
Aw, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That is our show for tonight. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Stay up, stay good, and love one another. And tell somebody
Yes,
that doesn't know
yes,
it.
love
I
him.
love you.
Yes.
One person can make a difference.
Yes.
Yes, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
I
Bye, y'all.
have something. Ooh.
Ooh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, August.
Oh, it takes a lifetime to build trust and a moment to lose it. Remember.
Word.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. And with that beautiful thought,
Thank you,
Thank
Jesse.
you, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
The people unite.